So I want to talk to you a little bit about vacant land, and maybe we can segue into some commercial property. For the time that you've been on this team, you've been focused on traditional, buyers and sellers of residential properties, and then you dove really deep into vacant land. Just to, it seemed like you weren't on the team more than 15 minutes, and you were into vacant land, which then led you into commercial stuff. So let's say I'm a buyer and I'm looking to build a house. I want to buy in Duluth, or I want to buy in La Cresta. I know you have a beautiful listing in La Cresta right now. I want to buy in La Cresta, and I'm very excited because I found this piece of property for $100,000 to $150,000. As a buyer, what can I expect when I go to see this piece of vacant land?
You can expect exactly that, just dirt. You have to have a pretty good eye or vision for the dream that you're trying to see. If you're going to be developing anything, you really need to be able to see past just the raw land and the brush that's there and be able to see what it could be and the potential that location could be.
And tell our viewers, basically, what are some of the challenges that these developers have when they're looking at raw land when it comes to trying to build something high-density, apartments, condos, stuff like that?
Well, some of the challenges that some of the developers are going to find is, obviously, you don't just see the land. There's going to be zoning, and there's a master plan that the city has put into place where they're going to only allow certain types of businesses or certain types of development to take place. So that makes the search for our clients a little bit harder, per se, if they're trying to build apartments and this place is only slated for retail or something like that. There's a bunch of hoops they're going to have to jump through, and it's a lot of phone calls and it's a lot of hard work to find them that exact property.
So some of the zoning, when we're talking about land zoning, we have rural residential, we have commercial, we have industrial, et cetera, but what you're telling me is that we could have a parcel that's zoned rural residential, but depending on the municipality or the city, they may have that slated for, say, a medical building.
Yeah.
And the lot next door could be slated for, say, high density, being apartments and condos.
Yep.
And then the one next door is a storage unit, or whatever. So what happens in the event that you have a buyer that wants to buy this dirt and he wants to do something different than what the city has their head wrapped around what they want it to be used for?
He or she will have to come with a very good plan to submit to the planning department and almost essentially interview with them to see if their idea is worth it. I don't know how to word it.
Sure, if it's worth it, or
Yeah.
if the bottom line, it's all about money, in my opinion.
Right.
Right. It's all about the cash. So if the city can make money off door swings, as
Yeah.
we've called it a million times, is every time the door swings open, they're going to get some tax revenue from that. And if it's something that they're not going to make money on, then they're not as excited. Now, one thing that I've learned with you is there's a little pocket out in Wildemar, where we have a property right now, that there's a big, was it 20 acres or 40 acres? I can't remember what it is. It's slated for a specific type use, and they haven't broken ground, and the owners went and petitioned to ask for a 3-year extension.
Yeah, correct.
Which then the city granted them that 3-year extension, and now we have, say, another buyer that comes along that wants to buy a parcel next to that and wants to use it for the same purpose, and the city won't let them do it.
Correct. They go to the bottom of that line.
So it's like a waiting list.
Yeah, essentially it is a waiting list for development purposes. Certain things are planned out, and they can only allow certain numbers of things to be built out or in the process of being developed, so they have to keep track. And unfortunately, it's first come, first serve, and those people that put extensions in can just keep doing that and not doing anything.
Sounds to me like it's kind of like a waiting list. Like back in the day, you're too young to remember this, but we want to get tickets for a rock concert. We have to get a wristband and wait in line, right? And no matter what number you were, that's the number that you were to wait in line. It sounds like when they slate these properties for a specific use, that token gets used up or that wristband gets used up. And if somebody else comes along, they want to do the same thing on a different parcel. They're either going to have to wait and hope it happens, or they're going to have to go in front of city council and the entire planning commission and give them a substantial reason why it should work, right?
Yeah, exactly, and the feasibility of it and whatnot.
Yeah. The other thing that I've learned along with you in this development of raw land is that it's a lot more than just, hey, I want to put a building here.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more than that. I was surprised too.
It's very surprising. So I know on a couple parcels that we've looked at with some buyers that there is plans to expand a road or there's plans to put in something new there, and boy, they just pass that right on to the landowner. So bottom line, if someone's thinking about buying vacant land for commercial or residential, there's a lot of hoops to go through. They really need to work with someone knowledgeable like you, who is working hand in hand with the cities, Temecula, Marietta, Lake Elsinore, Wildemar, Menifee, this whole area. You've got to know a ton of people there, and you know the inside track of what needs to
Right.
take place.
Well, a lot of due diligence needs to take place, and unfortunately, what I noticed is calling some of these other agents on some of these listings is some of them haven't done the proper due diligence. When the information they give me doesn't correlate to what the city's telling me and it doesn't match up, there's something going on, and they just need to make sure that they're working with an agent that actually is putting in the work and not just taking that homeowner or the owner,
The
landowner, taking their word for how many acres it is or what it's zoned as. They actually need to go pull the APN number and go talk to the guys at city to see what it actually is.
Yeah, and I think that's an epidemic in the real estate industry in general, residential, land, and commercial, is there's just people just don't do a really good job. So I appreciate the information in which you're providing our viewers on this in regards to commercial and industrial land or just raw land in general. I know with residential land, there's a Hans report. There's all kinds of things that have to be done. So though the dream may be we want to build something, if you build it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of work that goes behind it. So just because you can pick up a parcel that seems to be inexpensive or in your budget, it's going to take at least 90 to 180 days to be able to get things in place, and there's lots of due diligence. So anyone looking for land right now should really work with a real estate professional that understands what's truly going on in each area.
I agree.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.